Good afternoon, my beautiful brothers and sisters in Yeshua. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024. It is 1:10 p.m. here in Australia. I hope you're doing very well and I hope you've been blessed. We're going to jump on to the next part of our Reading the New Testament series. And today, instead of doing Matthew 2, I'm just going to jump straight into the coming of the Son of Man chapters. And we're going to combine them side by side. So that's Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. This is like the same story being told three different ways, I suppose, from three different perspectives, if you want to look at it like this. But my thing today is I was just putting this together now, and I realised how important this actual knowledge is and this study is, because it really does prove that we've been so deceived, especially when it comes to like the timeline of when these things happen. Is this a future event? Like, is Matthew 24 a future event, or has it already taken place in the past? And I think, brothers and sisters, if we were to understand that this has already taken place in the past, then we could look at where we are today with a much more clearer perspective. So with that being said, as you can see, I've got Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21 up here, King James Version. And so basically, this is a study video, so it's going to probably be quite long. I'm pretty much going to go until I have to pick my kids up from school, which is 3 o'clock. So we'll get into it. So I'm just, if you don't mind me reading a little bit, I'm going to read these 3 chapters from these 3 different books. Okay, Matthew 24. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the building of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, Can you see all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another, that shall not all be thrown down. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? Now I'm going to stop there, brothers and sisters, because this story here is repeated in in Luke straight away, but not in Mark. Again, we're going to go into talking about how Mark is the original gospel and Matthew and Mark is the original gospel, and Luke and Matthew basically copied off that and added drama, if you want to call it that, to the story. So anyway, so let's just start at these first 3 verses here in Matthew 24. So the disciples show Jesus the temple, and they're like, look at how awesome it is. Jesus said, not one of these stones will be left upon another. And then the disciples asked 3 questions. When will these things be? Now that's obvious. When they're saying, when will these things be? It's because of the previous thing that Jesus was just saying, that the stones of the temple were going to be destroyed. So when will these things be has already been answered. That's 70 AD, brothers and sisters. You can't say this is a future event. Okay. The next question, what shall be the sign of your coming? And then the third question is, and of the end of the world. So firstly there, the end of the world, that's the end of the eon, the end of the era, end of the age. It is not the end of the world, like, nothing exists anymore. It's the end of an age. We live in ages, and this is why I suppose, I think that a lot of the stuff that we've been told that's, demonic, or, that's been demonized by the church and all these things, like astrology, for example. I think there's a good reason why they tell us to, this is demonic, don't have anything to do with it. The Bible says, it's bad, stay away from it. When you really look into it, it's not actually demonic, because the stars and the heavens have been used in all generations, in all faiths, in all beliefs, and, the stars is where it's at. So basically, long story short, what I'm trying to get at here is, I'll give you a perfect example of this. The golden calf, right? When make the statue of the golden calf and to worship it and stuff like this. This was the age of Taurus. Literally, you were in the age or the house of Taurus. And then the next house to come after that was the age of Aries. So that was all the lamb slaughters and things like this. The next age to come out of that, after that rather, is the age of Pisces, which is exactly why Jesus, or Christianity rather, is represented as two fishes or a fish. Okay, Pisces, Christianity, fishes. This is Jesus's era or age or eon for the last 2,000 years. It's like it's kind of like saying for this 2,000 year block of time, this is how the world is going to operate. And then we're going to come into the next house or eon or age, which we're coming into right now, and that is the age of Aquarius. Now you may think, oh yeah, whatever, that's New Age stuff. No, it's not, because even Jesus says to the disciples, when the disciples asked Jesus, we want to make you Passover dinner, where are we going to do it? And then Jesus goes, go into the city, there's going to be a man there, and he's going to be holding a pitcher of water. Go into that house, and there will be furnished for you already, the dinner table. It's going to be set for you ready to go. That man holding a pitcher of water is Aquarius, and that is the house that we're supposed to be going into, which we are going into right now. And, the wonderful thing and the biggest joy in my life, brothers and sisters, is that I always, no matter what I study, no matter what rabbit hole or how scary things get, the victory has already been won. We've got to remember this. We've got to remember that first and foremost, that the victory has already been won. We are literally just waiting this out, like in a waiting room. All our job to do right now is to continue to be kind, loving, charitable, all the good things. And just to be thankful all throughout the day. Take a moment to yourself and say, I'm thankful that my fridge is full. I'm thankful that I have fruit to eat. I'm thankful that I have a flushing toilet. I'm thankful that I've got running water. If you live in that constant state of gratitude and thankfulness, it really does change your world, brothers and sisters. It really does change your world. And this is just coming to mind now. It's a little off topic, but I want to speak of it before I forget. So I heard this brilliant analogy of the sky yesterday, and somebody asked him, why is it that time exists? And he answered and said, the construct of time has to exist in the human experience, otherwise there would be no growth. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is so true. Because you wonder, why is there time? Why was, I don't know if you ever thought about this, but why is everything like mathematically, like you measure something's 10 centimeters, 1 centimeter, 100 centimeters, it's all done in units of 10 and 100 and so on. But time is like 60. It's very strange. But anyway, so I've always been fascinated by the concept of time. And when you listen to near-death experiences, they feel like they've been, in heaven or the out-of-body experience for like weeks or, days, when it's realistically in our world only 15 minutes on the operating table. But the concept of time, when he said that, the concept or the construct of time rather, has to be present in the human experience. Otherwise, we wouldn't experience growth, because if we didn't have time, we would always be in a moment. And there's never a growth in a moment. It's just a moment, you know what I mean? So I hope I explained that well. And I'm sorry that was a total rant of something else. But, there's been, I suppose what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of different areas and formulas that they've been using against us, and it's time to break free from all of that and to see it clearly, especially now that the veil has, if not completely dropped, it's very, very thin at the moment. So So like I said, for the first 3 verses here in Matthew 24, it's very obvious that the first question is, when will these things be? That was in reference to the temple being destroyed in 70 AD. Then, what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And then Jesus goes on to say, okay, so the second question there, what is going to be the sign that you're actually going to come back? And he talks about this down here, the sign of the Son of Man is going to appear in heaven. Okay. So I also want to note here, specifically this verse, what is going to be the sign of your coming, right? It's very, very, very important. And you could say the same sentence using different words. You could be, what would be a sign of your visitation, right? Of your visitation. That would be fair, wouldn't it, to say, what is the sign of your coming, or what is the sign of your visitation? When are you going to come? I mean, that's what Christians are told as rapture watching Christians. You know, they're told we've got to be ready for the visitation, because when Jesus is visiting, right, the second coming, i.e., we have to be ready. We have to be watching. If we're found not watching, we're going to be thrown out to outer darkness, right? That's the doctrine, I suppose. And brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you today that that's just fear-mongering, because that's literally not what it's talking about. But I want to confirm that the sign of thy coming is the same as the sign of someone's visitation, right? So Jesus goes on to say, take heed that no man deceives you. So in other words, do the work yourself, brothers and sisters. Do the work yourself. Don't let any person, not even me, tell you otherwise. You do this yourself. You really have to yearn and desire that kingdom of heaven and to know all the secrets and mysteries about it. Because until you want that, it's very easy to sit back and, and judge and condemn and all the things. Because, a lot of us are still asleep, and it's hard to hear these things because it sounds like blasphemy, but it's not. It's right in front of our faces. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and they will deceive many. That's all the Christian churches, I suppose, in a way. If you want to reference that to this day and age, that's definitely a lot of different denominations. What would we have, 34 to 40,000 different denominations? I don't know. And ye shall hear of wars and rumours of wars, and see that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines, pestilence, earthquakes, diverse places. These are going to be the beginning of the sorrows. So, brothers and sisters, let's stop there and do the next 5 verses, okay? Don't be deceived, and this is what's going to precede my arrival, my visitation, my second coming. It's going to be wars and rumours of wars, and all the nations are going to be rising up against nations, and kingdoms are going to be against kingdoms. There's going to be lots of starvation and pestilence, because people are starving and they're sick. There's going to be earthquakes. Now, has this happened in the past, all of these things? Absolutely, brothers and sisters. So the rumours of wars, have a look, go research it. The rumours of wars were the Ostrogoths, the Vandals, that whole era. And that whole collective group of, the Vikings and all that kind of stuff. That's what the war that was going on around that time, right? Now we get to the famine and the kingdom against kingdom. For instance, we don't have kingdoms here anymore. So there is no kingdom against kingdom. But back then, it was kingdom against kingdom, right? So the famine and the pestilence comes because of this. In about in the age of about 66 AD, right, the Romans first attempted to come and try and take over Jerusalem. And this is when they were trying to, barrage down the wall, and they couldn't penetrate it because the wall was so thick. So this started the count of the 3.5 years. This happened in on Passover roughly on the year 66 AD, because what happens is the Romans are smart, right? Like any enemy, they wait until the masses are congregating and then they attack, because why not take down thousands rather than just one or two, right? So they waited for Passover, as any intelligent enemy would do, and all the people had come from around, and they had Passover, they had their Sabbath. They weren't going to attack on a Sabbath, were they? And when you read in the book of Maccabees, it talks about how the Jews did the same thing when they escaped the tyrannical reign of Antiochus. They went into the hills and the caves and whatever, and Antiochus and his armies did the same thing. They waited to Sabbath, they camped out opposite them, and they attacked them on the Sabbath, and the Jews just stood there and went, well, we'd rather die than fight on the Sabbath. Like, oh boy. But that's the point. So, Passover comes, they don't attack, many get killed, whatever, on their way coming into, but they can't penetrate the temple. They can't get in there. They can't get through the walls of Jerusalem. So the Romans will go back to their places and re-strategize and re-evaluate the situation. And meanwhile, while they're doing that, this is exactly what Jesus is talking about when he says, when you therefore see, where is it? When you therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, run, those in Judea. Another key word, brothers and sisters, Judea. There is no more Judea to this day standing, okay? And not only is it talking about a place that doesn't exist, it's talking about one place in the whole world. So Christians are under the impression that when the Great Tribulation starts, we've all got to flee from all the pockets of the corner of the earth. Where does it ever say this, brothers and sisters? And just as I'm thinking about it, where in any of the coming of the Son of Man chapters does it ever speak of the mark of the beast? Don't you think Jesus would have been kind to let us know that this was a huge thing for those living at the end of the time? The mark of the beast would be here, and we're going to get our heads cut off if we don't do as we're told. And because it's not here, brothers and sisters, because this is all in the past. And I'll get to Revelation and show you in the Geneva Bible the footnotes that show you that the beast was Nero. We'll get there. But so he says, when you see these things happen, flee those in Judea. Okay, Judea was right where the temple was. So when those in Judea, seeing this Roman people come and do their stuff, and then the Romans couldn't penetrate them, so they went back to the Roman city, the people in Judea had time to flee. That's who Matthew 24 and Luke 21 and Mark 13 are talking about, brothers and sisters. This has already happened in the past, and churches today, the Pharisees and Sadducees of old, will still use this for fear. Look at TikTok, look at YouTube, look at all the Instagram, all the social media. The book of Revelation is played for fear like nothing else. And I'm telling you, study it yourself. Go have a look where the book of Revelation first came to be. It was written by a Jewish rabbi, okay? And he was like a heretical, one that just went off on a little tangent type thing. And a lot of people spoke against him, but he created the idea of the millennial reign. And I did a video on this. I don't know which one it is, but I know I did a video on this showing you this. I know his name starts with C. But it was, like I said, brothers and sisters, the book of Revelation is a Freemasonic Judaic playbook. It's a script book. And that is why the Simpsons and all that appear to be telling the future, and people are like, wow, that's amazing, they must know the future. No, brothers and sisters, they know the scripture. They know the script. They wrote the script. What they didn't write is Father's protection, Father's grace, Father's love, and all that good stuff on our hearts. so that, the enemy can't touch us. That's what they didn't write. But what I'm trying to get at here, brothers and sisters, is this is in the past, and you can take a nice deep breath. You can go out and look and go, like in my case, I go, oh my goodness, I'm 43. And when I look at my past and I look at the way I acted when I was a full-on fanatical rapture-believing Christian, hi caramba, I did damage. I did damage to my family. I did damage to my own relationships. The amount of time and effort and pride I put into telling the world that they better get right, otherwise they're going to be left behind and get their heads cut off and get their children taken away to FEMA camps. It's just bullshit. We've got to come out, brothers and sisters. We're running out of time here. We've got to come out of this false Pharisee, Sadducee matrix that we're in. That it's just, they've been running us for too long. What Father is Father is love. Okay? This is why Jesus came. This is literally why Jesus came, to say to the Jews, the only reason you don't recognize who I am is because your father is actually the devil, and he was a liar and a murderer from the beginning, and so are all of you. Okay? That's the only reason Jesus came. He came to save the lost house of Israel. None of us, brothers and sisters, because we ain't lost. We are children of the Most High. He didn't come to save us, brothers and sisters. And the church, the evil wickedness that's infiltrated the church has made us believe that we need to believe in something outside of ourselves to save us. And this is why the rapture is so dangerous, because we're continuously, Jesus is going to save us. Jesus is going to save us. It's all good. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter about the children dying. It doesn't matter about, what all the horrible stuff that's going on. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to be raptured out of here. Can you see the wickedness in the ideology of what the rapture holds? And I'm speaking with complete love in my heart, because I was this, but it's my job now. It's my duty as a person that has had the mud taken off my eyes about this to share this with my most favourite people in the world, my brothers and sisters. So anyway, like I said, brothers and sisters, it's all simple and plain when you look at it for what it is. Okay, when you see this stuff happen, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, here's another big proof. Go back to have a look. I'll show you. Okay, rather than me say it, I'll show you. You write the word abomination. Okay, abomination. We're going to have a look. Because if Jesus says, what's spoken of by Daniel the prophet, that has to be something that's spoken by Daniel using the word abomination, okay? So we've only got, where are we in Daniel? We've got 3 options in Daniel for the word abomination. That's Daniel 9:27, and that's, the one that we all know and love, that he's going to confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. In the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice of the oblation to cease, the overspreading of the abominations. Okay, that one, we've got that one. Then we've got Daniel 11:31. And the arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. Okay, so this sounds more like what we're talking about, right? Because Matthew's saying, when you see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place. So we've got, when they shall pollute the sanctuary. So that pretty much sounds right. And shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that makes desolate. So they're placing something, just like what Matthew says, right? It's going to stand in the holy place, and in Luke it says stand where it ought not. In Mark it says stand where it ought not. So, let's take this one. We'll do Daniel 12 as well, just to show you. And from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away, and that makes death desolate, is set up. So when the abomination is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay, so this is what we're working with, brothers and sisters. Let's see if we can match this. The biggest key to understanding Matthew 24 is to realize that Daniel was prophesying before the second temple was even built. So you tell me, how on earth all these prophecies that these Christian preachers and teachers tell us are referring to a future event, like the third temple, for instance, how could that be when Daniel was prophesying about the second temple that hadn't even been built yet? This is what he's talking about, brothers and sisters. This is what Daniel is talking about. The second temple that Jesus said was going to be destroyed. Okay? Daniel is prophesying about 70 AD. Jesus is prophesying about 70 AD. No one, and I repeat, no one has said anything about a future great tribulation in the Bible. It's only the preachers and teachers, okay? No one has said anything to do with that. So keep that in mind. That's number one important. Daniel was prophesying about the second temple, which hadn't even been built yet. Not a third temple. Okay, nothing to do with our age, where we're living now. And again, let those in Judea, only those in Judea, right? Those are the ones that need to flee to the mountains. And here again, those of you on the housetop, who in this day and age is on a housetop, brothers and sisters? No one. But back then, all the Jewish houses are I think still to this day actually, they're flat, and people put stuff on top of on their roofs, right? Like chairs and whatever, and all those who are in the field don't come back to get your clothes. You need to flee immediately. And here, and woe to them that are with child and them that give suck in those days. I'm not going to look for it now, but when Jesus was on the cross, there were women weeping for him on the cross. And Jesus said to them, "Women, do not weep for me, but rather weep for yourselves and your children." Again, Jesus is prophesying what's about to happen in 70 AD. The reason why it was this curse or this woe was said, woe to them who are with children or who are breastfeeding, is because what happened in, like I said, 66 AD, the Romans started coming and starting to try and penetrate into Jerusalem there. And what happened is the Jews were so fervent on protecting their precious temple that they forgot to to sow the fields. So that when the harvest should have come round, while they're busy fending off the Romans, they remained without no crops, brothers and sisters. They trapped themselves in and didn't plant more crops. This is exactly what Matthew 24 and all of the Coming of the Son of Man chapters are talking about. This is the famine like no other. And the woe to the mothers with little children and breastfeeding is because they were so hungry, they ended up eating their children. It's all there in the history books. This is what Jesus was talking about. So let's move out of the fear and into reality, and also into the realization, brothers and sisters, that none of this, what you see in front of you, is real. This is all a projection of something that has already been done. We are going through that, like I said, like that human experience where we, for whatever reason we came down here to experience this, whether we were tricked by Lucifer, and there's any truth to that, and we're just all down here, trapped in this matrix, whatever it may be. The reality is that even Jesus himself said, the kingdom of heaven is something you cannot see. Think about this. Think about this verse and seek the kingdom of heaven first and everything will be given to you. The kingdom of heaven is something you can't see, for it is within you. So that puts a big spin on that verse. So seek the kingdom of heaven within you and everything else will come to you. So if you're seeking the kingdom of heaven, which is inside you, because Jesus says this, If you do that first, peace, harmony, heaven, paradise, if you seek that within yourself first, inside yourself, then everything in life, oh my goodness, I feel like a philosopher. Then literally just like, when you say something and then it really just resonates and like just vibrates through you and you're like, wow, I really understand that. This is why Jesus, and the same Jesus says again, let your eye be single. What do you think that's referring to? It's talking about the inner eye, pardon me, which sees inside a person, within, that peace, that harmony. Seek that first. Become peaceful and, have harmony within yourself first. Love yourself first and love your neighbours as you love yourself. It's really just that easy, brothers and sisters. You don't need the getting up early on Sunday morning. You don't need all the tangible stuff. You need to live in joy, in your happiness, in your best vibe. At any moment, no matter what you're doing, whether you're sweeping the floor, sing. Whether you're chopping up vegetables for dinner, hum. Just, when you see your kids, give them a smile. I don't know. I'm just saying that it's the little things, brothers and sisters, and that starts that snowball effect. That the little things, and I'm speaking from experience because I've been doing this, since February-ish. I've really been intentional in saying and being grateful every day and just, enjoying my children more. And not spending so much time researching and doing all this stuff to feel disheartened and heartbroken with all the evil, but realize, brothers and sisters, that just as light and darkness need to exist with each other for the other one to exist, yin and yang, all that stuff, it's the same. The darkness and the light, the goodness and the bad, it has to exist. It has to play out until this all gets done. So we've done the exposing. We did all that. That's what the whole Pisces 2000 years era was. It was like the martyrdom. It was the protesting. It was the freeing. It was the escaping. It was the awakening. And now let's step into the next era, where we're awake and we're free and we're happy and we can love each other without anything being weird. Let's get to that part. And I think we're going to see this in our lifetime. I truly, truly do, brothers and sisters. And the sooner you understand it and see it, the sooner you can help your children, not by stating facts and saying this is facts, because realistically, brothers and sisters, none of us have any idea what's going on. None of us have any idea what's going on, so we can't be matter of fact, factual about anything anymore, because that's obviously been proven. You can't have absolute facts. The only absolute fact I have is there's a Father God, Creator, Source. Okay? And I truly believe another fact is that Jesus came to give us these wonderful words of wisdom and knowledge for us to escape this matrix and get back home to Papa. So I believe they're facts, but everything other than that, brothers and sisters, is all just hearsay. It's all learning, it's all experience, and you can only just go on what resonates, really, in the end. But, down here to immediate, where are we? After the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon shall not give a light. That's happened already too. The stars have even fallen, brothers and sisters. They fell on I think the 11th or the 12th or 13th of November in the 1800s something. People were literally running outside on the street, getting down, and praying, thinking that it was the end of the world. All these things have come to pass. Have a look at the great earthquakes around between 66 and 73 AD. Huge earthquakes. All the things, brothers and sisters, all the things that were prophesied about. And you know, why is it that Jesus said, you know, these things you'll see in your generation. All these things will happen in your generation. There'll be some standing here that shall see these things. There shall be some standing here that are going to see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of glory. Okay? There's some standing here. He's not talking about our time. He's talking about the time where he was walking on the earth. He said, there's some standing who are right in front of me that is going to see this happen. Who's going to see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Jesus is literally saying, Peter, John, or whoever I'm talking to, you will see me come back. So it's going to happen in your lifetime. And it did. I hope you can see this, brothers and sisters, because here, I got a perfect one for you here. Because you know how we'll go back to the temple being destroyed, right? The temple being destroyed. Here in Luke 19, you know how I was talking about visitation? We'll just go for a quick keyword search on visitation. There's only 2 in the New Testament. That's in Luke 19 and 1 Peter. And Luke 19 is, and shall lay thee even with the ground. Oh, well, I won't read that one because that's the one I want to focus on. But the other one is 1 Peter 2:12. Having your conversation honest amongst the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation. This is actually awesome. Because this proves another thing. Because you know how I'm sus on Paul. I think he wrote pretty much the majority of the New Testament. Okay? And, but anyway. So this is very interesting here. Okay, so in Luke 19, we have here. Let's start here. This is Luke 19. We'll start in 41. And when he came near, this is Jesus, and he beheld the city, he wept over it, saying, if you had known, even you, at least in this day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. Now listen, brothers and sisters, for the day shall come upon you. Okay, that's what thee is. The day shall come upon you that your enemies shall cast a trench around you and compass around you. That means circle around you and keep thee on every side. So there's no way to get out. And shall lay thee even with the ground and thy children with thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because what? Because you didn't know the time of your visitation. Boom, drop the mic, discussion over. If you cannot see that this was talking about the destruction in 70 AD, because that's exactly to the T what happened. The army, the enemy, which was the Roman armies, built a trench around Jerusalem on every side. And that's why Luke 21 says, when you therefore see the armies surrounding Jerusalem, you know that the desolation thereof is near. Notice he says it's near in Luke, okay? Because that means there's a little time period there. You're going to see this thing start to happen when you've got a moment. Run, flee. Those in Judea, get the hell out. You know what I'm saying? But here, brothers and sisters, because you didn't know the time of your visitation, this is what the disciples are asking about. When will we know the sign of your visitation, the sign of your coming? And they're saying, because you didn't know of that sign of my visitation, you didn't know the time, you didn't study, you didn't hear me, you didn't see the prophecy, this is what's going to happen. A trench is going to be built around you, covering you with all sides. You can't get out. There's going to be famine, there's pestilence, there's going to be war. There's just going to be death and destruction. And there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't heed the warning, I'm going to give you a little bit of warning. You're going to see these people coming. They're going to try and get in, they can't, so they're going to regroup, and when they regroup, you get the hell out of there. Quick, smart. Brothers and sisters, can you see this? Can you see this? Like, I was absolutely amazed when the blinders got taken off my eyes, and I was like, oh my goodness, I've been pushing Matthew 24 as a future event for so long. And then people will be very quick to say, you know what, yeah, but, dual prophecy. I used to spit that garbage out too. Dual prophecy. It happened then, and history's going to repeat itself. It's going to happen, in a later time. All right, let's go back to this verse then. Matthew 24. Okay. For then. Okay, well, here we go. Pray that your flight is not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. When was it, brothers and sisters? When is Passover? Literally the first day of spring. What did I say to you? All the people from all around, they would have travelled before the first day of spring, right, to get there, to make sure that they were there for Passover and all the feasts and stuff like this, okay? So people would have been coming in. It would have been winter still, and it would have been on the Sabbath, because like I said, the Roman army or any enemy of Israel knows to attack on the Sabbath. Hence the reason he said, pray it's not in the winter or on the Sabbath. Okay, this happened. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, to this time, which is talking about the time of that abomination, that this desolation thing that's going to happen, no, nor ever shall be. So in other words, nothing before this event happens is as bad as the event, and nothing after the event that happens will be as bad as the event. We are living in the after period of that event, brothers and sisters. We're not waiting for the great tribulation. But I tell you who's making the big bucks on this. It is the Illuminati, the elite, the wicked, the enemy, satanic, whatever you want to call them. That's who's laughing in our face, because they wrote the script and the Christians are following it to a T. Pushing the narrative of the mark of the beast and the great tribulation and the rapture and all this stuff which is not in the book. Everything has to come from within, brothers and sisters. Our job, our duty is to create the new heavens and the new earth from inside ourselves, from fixing our trauma and our drama and our issues and our blockages, all the things, by fixing them, healing them, forgiving ourselves. And then once we can do all that, and then really learn to love ourselves, love each other, then we love our neighbours, and it spreads and it gets further. And the light gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the darkness gets smaller and smaller, and eventually dissolves. This is the process. This is the purifying. This is the refining that we're going through right now. Okay? This is the refining that we're going through right now. So I didn't even really get to Mark 13, but we'll have a quick look over it. Same sort of thing. Same sort of thing. Luke 21. Luke starts off a bit different. He doesn't start off with the disciples at, showing Jesus the temple. He starts off with this story about this little old lady gives all the money that she has, and that, she's a much greater giver than the rich people. And that's a great lesson to learn too, because we quite often think that, if we've got lots of money and we give $50 or $100, whatever, we're like, we're awesome. But the reality is there's so many other ways to give, brothers and sisters, than monetary things. You can give back to your community. For all the older people who are, at home a little bit more, if you're a knitter, for instance, if you knit and you like to knit, why not knit little booties for like the little premature babies, or, little bubbies born in hospital, or, I don't know, There's so many things, there's so many needs for people that aren't being met, which could be so easily being met with us just sitting around in our spare time. Imagine if we all just did one thing to help another person. Wow, this world would be incredible. And that's really what it's all about, you know. And the reality is, brothers and sisters, that you may think, how it doesn't make sense. How can the coming of the Son of Man have already happened? It's because the only way to process this, brothers and sisters, is because imagine if I was to say to you, we've been told forever that 1 plus 1 equals 2. What if I was to say to you the real truth, and I can prove it to you, is 1 plus 1 equals 3? It's kind of like, if you can be indoctrinated and influenced enough in one genre of idea of what something means, and that sticks for not only decades but like centuries, and then anybody that over the centuries starts to study and look into it, they get, oh, you're a heretic. Especially in the olden days. It's not so bad now. You're sort of allowed to sort of step out of the box now, but I could imagine back then you'd be disowned by families and whatever. So if you stick to the narrative, which 99% of people did, right, you could say that 1 plus 1 equaled 50 and teach that. And you could make up some gibberish way to validate that that's correct. But what I'm trying to say is, I know I'm probably gibberishing, but this is what we need to understand, that we've been indoctrinated and programmed and influenced, brothers and sisters, to believe that this means a certain thing, that this is a futuristic event rather than a historical book that has come to pass already. Historical record. And that's what it is. It's a historical record of these things that came to pass. And they did. The destruction of the temple in 70 AD actually came to pass. And, see here down in Luke 21, we'll go over this one. And when you therefore see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then you know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Again, Luke 19, because you didn't listen to me, your enemies are going to build a trench surrounding Jerusalem from all sides, and you're not going to be able to get out. Okay, this is what it's talking about. When you see this happen, when Jerusalem is surrounded with armies, you know that the desolation of the temple, the abomination of desolation, you know that's about to happen very quick, very soon, very nigh. And then it says, when you see these things happen, those that are living in Judea, near the temple, flee, go now. Okay? What is this? For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Brothers and sisters, this is another very amazing revelation here. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things that are written may be fulfilled. I want to have a look at that word, because there is Jesus opened the scroll in the temple and he read from Isaiah, except for the last verse. And we're going to have a look, and I'm going to explain why this is so incredibly significant. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 6. Okay, so we'll go in context. Okay. So Jesus, hang on, I'm gonna have to show you this. I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna go back and we're gonna go to the one in the New Testament where Jesus opens the scroll. Where's the one where Jesus... Oh, that's right, because he doesn't get to that part. What's he talking about in this one? Give me a second. I promise this is good. Preach good tidings. Let's do that. Because Jesus is directly quoting from Isaiah. Let's see if it picks it up in the New Testament. Yes. No? No. Yes. No. Oh, 2 seconds. Okay, this is worth the wait, I promise you. Okay, so let's go back to here so we know what we're talking about. Where was it? Luke 21. Okay, so Luke 21, this is talking about the Son of Man, the coming of the Son of Man chapters, right? And he says, these are going to be called the days of vengeance, right? That all things written, so all of the things written about this prophecy are going to be fulfilled on the day of vengeance. What's that day of vengeance? People think this is in the future, like the end of the world when God's wrath is going to come. No, it's not, because look. So Luke opens up the scroll, okay? And there was delivered, this is Luke 4, 17 to 19. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted and to preach deliverance to the captives and recover the sight of the blind and set liberty to them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Now, if you go to read full chapter, the next line after that is, and then he closed the book, okay? And this is where he reads it from Isaiah. So the last thing Jesus reads is to preach the acceptable year of the Lord, then he closes the books. But in Isaiah, the full version of that is, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. In Luke, the book closes, right? And the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn. Okay, to appoint them unto Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy of mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Brothers and sisters, there you go. This is the day of vengeance. What happened in 70 AD? This is literally, that was what happened, is done. It's finished. The day of vengeance, the coming of the Son of Man, it's all finished. The book. You know, we are told to treat, to have the book, we reverence the Bible, like it's like this untouchable thing that, God himself came down and wrote. No, brothers and sisters, man wrote the book. Okay, man wrote the book. If you have a look in, yes, it may be inspired. I absolutely believe that Yeshua Jesus Christ inspired his words to be put into the New Testament, or to be made into a book. It even says in the New Testament that, if everything that Jesus said was put into a book, there wouldn't be a book big enough, right? But that should just be the key words of Jesus. None of this other dramatization that Paul goes on with in the book of Revelation and all the other things. It's just, the day of visitation, they weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for the day that they were visited. And Josephus writes about this. 3 other historical Jewish and Roman historical writers write about this, that there was chariots in the sky. There was a war in heaven. Okay, and the sun was darkened and the moon did turn to blood. This all went down, brothers and sisters. It all went down. The takeaway from my video is, don't think I'm bashing the Bible. It's beautiful. I love it. And I hold reverence and respect to it. But a lot of people treat it as as if God himself wrote it, and that's not true. Okay, the difference, there's a grave difference. The Old Testament is Yahweh, and that's, that's all the fallen ones, brothers and sisters. That's why there was so much blood sacrifice. Think about this, brothers and sisters. Have you ever pondered this thought? People say, oh, you're blasphemous. How dare you say that the God of the Old Testament is not, the God of the New? Well, think about this. Adam and Eve sinned, right? Apparently, from what we've been told in the church, Eve ate an apple, and then Adam ate the apple too. What happened? They got kicked out of the garden, and then what's the next thing that happens? Not only does a curse get put onto Eve, and that is like menstrual cycles and pain during childbirth, and then Adam, he has to work, and blood, sweat and toil now for everything. I mean, a bit excessive punishment there. But, the biggest thing here, brothers and sisters, is what happened then. Is a lamb got slaughtered? So you think this was... I know people are going to jump in here and say, yes, it was, the perfect lamb from the beginning. It had to run the blood had to run all the way through the Bible of this perfect lamb sacrifice. No, brothers and sisters, no. Blood, the killing of animals, the slaughter of innocence is not something our Father in heaven wants. He is... it's not something our Heavenly Father wants. And this is probably why Jesus said, so many call me Lord, Lord, and I'm going to be like, who are you? I have no idea. Get away from me, you workers of iniquity, you traditionals. You didn't seek me, you didn't seek the Father, you didn't seek the truth. You wanted the tradition, and this is what you got. Okay, and that's the same with... there's another verse now, I think I read it in my last video, about how, about sitting down with Abraham. Jesus was saying, oh, you're excited to, sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. But you know what? You children are going to be chucked out into outer darkness, where there's going to be weeping of gnashing of teeth. And that is exactly what it is in Revelation, where it says, when the wedding was furnished and there was a guy in there that didn't have a wedding garment on. That's all these Pharisees and Jews and people who are traditionalists and are going by the book rather than going by the spirit of, grace and mercy and love that Father gave us. But anyway, that's 57 minutes. Oh, it wasn't too bad. But I, like I said, go look at it yourself. Put up Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, side by side. Go have a look at 70 AD. Really research it. Just type into YouTube, has Matthew 24 already been fulfilled? And go watch the historical accounts. The Jews know this, and this is why I think they laugh at us a lot. The Jews, they know this, but they also tried to hide it because they're embarrassed by the fact that they placed a curse on themselves for eternity. Like when Jesus was being brought up to Pontius Pilate, they said, crucify him and let his blood be on us and our children. They cursed themselves forever, brothers and sisters. And it was only the lost house of Israel. Remember that. Only the lost house of Israel that Jesus came to save. None of us, because we don't need saving. We are already inheritors of our Father's kingdom, okay, which is going to be revealed more and more and more and more and more, and we can't even comprehend of how incredible eternity is going to be. There is no such thing as death, brothers and sisters. All the things that we've been told to worry about as human beings is all fabricated and all fear-based. There is no death. This is why Jesus says he's not dead, he's just sleeping. Because that's what Jesus brought. He brought the freedom of escaping the matrix. Because prior to that, death being in Abraham's bosom, I think has a lot to do with the reincarnation cycle. I think Abraham's bosom was like some kind of reincarnation soul trap. But I think Jesus he came with this parable, mysterious riddle of an explanation about how to be free. And if it was only for those who really truly desired that freedom, that kingdom of heaven within, that was going to understand this. And, Jesus himself, brothers and sisters, come on, he even says, the things that I do, you're going to do far greater than what I'm ever doing. What did Jesus do? He walked on water, he raised the dead, he cured blindness, disease. And Jesus himself is saying, you're going to do heaps better stuff than me. And I think he's talking about this very new future where we're going to be learning to regenerate our own bodies and heal ourselves. And, there will be no illness, no death, no disease, no crying, no heartache, no tears, no pain. There will be none of that because we're coming into the new heavens and the new earth. But we have to do this bit by bit, and we have to see it with our own eyes. Because seeing it with our own eyes, experiencing it with our own feelings and emotions and life is the only way that this crap ain't ever happening again. Because if we were just to be shifted out of here without any consequences of, the things, then we wouldn't really learn, would we? But to go through the things, to understand, to see it in our lifetime, to see what death causes, the pain of losing children, of being poor, of starving, of being hurt, going through breakups, all the hard things as humans. If we didn't understand and go through this, then in the eternal life, in the new heavens and the new earth, this could slip in again and happen again, but this will be a permanent memory for us, brothers and sisters, of what evil did. And this is why I think it describes in the Old Testament that it's going to be like this, like the worm doesn't, the worm never dies, or the fire never quenches, or, there's going to be this desolate place there that never, the flame never dies down. There's going to be a constant reminder for us for eternity of what sin and evil did to this world. And I can guarantee this will never happen again. Apparently what happened on this planet, what we've been going through for the last 6,000, 6 million, however long it's been, is the first time this has ever happened. And also the first time this has ever happened is breaking free. And we have a whole cast and array of people, beings, I don't give a crap anymore if you think I'm crazy, but we have a whole array of other terrestrial, whatever the word is, celestial life force out there that is on our side and helping us. And they did a lot of the battles, brothers and sisters, a lot of the battles of the air. Remember, he's the principality of the air. That's where a lot of the battles have been taking place, and that's why the sky is so weird. And all the, simulation, the sun, the moon, and all that starting to show its true, real face now that it's just a machine. And the sooner you quicker you realise this, brothers and sisters, that this is quite possibly a simulated dream, so that we experience all of this and we can take it back, and it's like some kind of scouting data grab from all of us to take back. This is a big experiment. We're all taking our experiences, good and bad, wrapping this all up when this all ends, and we're going to be bringing it home to, Father, the source, and it's going to create this whole experience of, something that God, thought one day, this would be awesome to have a human race, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, human race came, did all the things and experienced all the things, and now, sorry, I'm ranting. But you get what I mean. I'm a thinker. Sometimes I think out loud. What I'm trying to say is, brothers and sisters, just chill. Just chill. Calm the farm down. It's all good. You really, my heart desire is for you to be like a kid at Christmas. I want you to go and just have the best Christmas this year. Start putting away a little bit, start making the decorations now yourself. Like I gave up Christmas for so many years because I'm like, oh, it's satanic and oh, the meaning behind Christmas. Brothers and sisters, I could show you anything right now and I could show you the good side of it and the satanic side of it. The phone, for example. The satanic side is, iPhone, the Apple, blah, 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 listening in on us, all that stuff. But the benefit is it's been able to keep in contact with families and friends. It's been able to make videos on. It's been able to see the news that wouldn't otherwise be on TV. Do you get my picture? So me having a Christmas tree up and me enjoying something that brought me so much joy as a kid. And I left that behind for so many years and told my kids how evil it was and everything. And I'm just like, enough. I'm moving out of that phase of my life, brothers and sisters. And I hope and pray, and I really love you to come with me. To be free, to be happy, to be joyful, to be the kid again, to love all the things, to get back into families, stop spending so much time wasted on this research. The evil has been exposed. The first domino has fallen, brothers and sisters. It's just all going to come down now. It's all going to fall down now. You worry about your family, about your loved ones, about your happiness, about your joy, about your passion, and your walk with Father. That is the first and foremost thing, important thing. And then yourself afterwards. Okay? So just remember that. I hope this video has been a blessing to you. Again, I want to stress that Mark is the original, brothers and sisters. Mark has no birth story. Mark has no resurrection story. Okay? So tell me what's the go there. Whereas Matthew and Luke have decided to add, very dramatic birth stories, very dramatic death stories. And, still to this day, the Christians are harping on about Jesus' death. It's the only reason, that we're saved, if we believe in Jesus' death. What about the people in Amazon? What about the people on islands that have never seen another human being in their life? You telling me they're going to hell because they didn't believe that they're covered in the blood of Jesus Christ? Brothers and sisters, there's something going on here. And I know it's confronting to hear, but I've got the balls to say it. At least question it, At least question it. Because so much time has been pushed on that narrative of the death and the blood of Jesus Christ and the sacrifice. The sacrifice. I was watching this thing the other day of a lady who's on a tour in Egypt, and she was talking about how the Ra or Osiris or one of the big dudes, the hieroglyphs on the wall is like there's two children collecting what from Osiris's legs, and that gets put into cotton wool apparently because it shouldn't have any air touching it, so apparently there's no air can get in wool, and that wool gets inserted into the priestesses, right? And they call them immaculate births or virgin conceptions, virgin births, right? Funny that. And guess what? Guess when they do that? On Easter. They do that at Easter time so that exactly on December 25th, their demigod son will be born, hopefully, whatever. Brothers and sisters, what's that got to do with you and me? We are children of the Most High. Let the evil do their evil thing, whatever. But let's not, let's not have the wonderful things in life ruined because something's been influenced. It's all been influenced. All of it. Your church, your Bibles, all of it, brothers and sisters. But what hasn't been influenced? Or infiltrated, rather? Is hopefully you and your family, your rock, your little castle of happiness, your animals, whatever you got, that's yours. That's your little castle. Build an empire, brothers and sisters. Build an empire. Plant that flag at the top. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. I'm going to wrap it up, brothers and sisters. I hope that this study has blessed you. And we might jump onto maybe the book of John, because, you know, me and John, we go way back now. I'm not I'm not sitting on the fence with John, that's for sure. But we'll look at that more in depth in another video, because that's a whole video in itself. Literally, just I'll give you a little teaser. John 21 has been completely added. It was never originally in there. And in John 21 is the story of the adulterous woman that was going to get stoned. Yeah, completely added, brothers and sisters. Never in the original codex or whatever it was called. Never in the original. The Jews hate women. But anyway, we won't go down that rabbit hole just yet. But I hope you can see, the takeaway from this video is stop stressing about the Great Tribulation. Stop stressing about the mark. Oh, that's what I want to show you. Quickly. Just quickly. We'll go beast. And we're going to go Geneva. I just want to show you something real quick. This is the 1599 Geneva Bible. This is the one before King James. The Geneva Bible was the one that they made when they escaped the persecution of the church, right? And then this is the first Bible ever to have footnotes or be written in English, and they brought it to King James and they said, look, everybody needs a Bible. And he read it and he took a whole heap of things out and added things in to make it more suited for the monarchy, which he was, king. For instance, the verse, for we do not fight against flesh and blood, but for those principalities of the air, right? That original verse in Geneva Bible, let's have a look. Yeah. Ephesians, I think it is, isn't it? Let's have a look in the Geneva Bible. Hang on. No, that's not the one. Hang on.